Bitcoin and altcoins are falling apart since last week, but this week won't be different. In fact, there's a way bigger fall incoming, and according to Gareth Soloway and Benjamin Cowan, it is expected, and you will understand why in a few minutes.
Bitcoin again, guys, is very simple here. So Bitcoin again has broken the level I said it was likely going to break. We've talked about this. You guys, it's been no surprise that when we were at 31,000, I was skeptical we were going to break out, unlike pretty much everyone else out there. But now we've fallen back down. Now the question is, here's your next support level, right? So looking at supports, we have a very clear $25,000 support, very clear 20,000 support, and if we break that, eventually you go back to the lows. The only way, and I've said this now, and this has become my thesis, is the only way Bitcoin breaks 15,700-ish, the lows, is if we see the stock market go back to the October 2022 lows or lower. Then I actually think it can. Otherwise, I think Bitcoin probably holds up relatively well. My big concern, though, is that I actually do believe the stock market is going lower significantly, as I think this narrative that it's going to be a perfect landing and everything is going to be great and we're going to all sing Kumbaya, I just don't buy it. Again, history shows us that when the yield curve uninverts is when we get the recession. We haven't uninverted yet, so there's still a lot of things. We also know that there's a delay in interest rate policy of 6 to 12 months. So we're only, based on what the market's reacting to, we're at like 2.5% on the Fed funds rate versus 5.25 to 5.5. So there's some big differences there.
And while this is happening, Gareth even says there are a few opportunities to profit from, and these are some trades he's taking right now.
What we can look at here, I have Litecoin. So I was nibbling a little on some alts. I covered, so just to update everyone, in Verified Investing Crypto, which is at verifiedinvesting.com, I covered my Bitcoin short and my Ethereum short. Made great money on it. Congratulations if you were a member. Fantastic. All right, so what I want to show you now is what I've been doing here. So here's a chart of Litecoin. All right, so I'm in Litecoin. I want to show you a trend line here that's pretty remarkable. All right, if we zoom out on Litecoin here, what we can see is that, bear with me as I go to the weekly chart. All right, we can see that we basically have a pivot point here to here, and I think I can see this better on the daily chart. Trying to remember exactly what I was looking at, but if we zoom out here, there we go. If we take this low and we connect it to this low here, so the lowest point to the lowest point, look at what it gives us on Litecoin. Look at that. Right to that point. So again, to me, Litecoin gets interesting in this range. Right? It's already started to bounce a little bit. I think it heads back towards this level right here. 70 bucks, maybe a little bit higher. I think maybe it even gets back to 80, but somewhere in that vicinity, I think it's likely going to be headed back to. Okay? So that's, again, just something to keep an eye on. Now, a couple other of these charts, let's erase that line, and let's go to a couple of the other altcoins. If we look at Matic, okay, and I'm going to still go over gold and everything, so don't worry. All right, so Matic is in trouble as well, but same kind of deal. Look at this low to this low, and look at where we are on Matic. We're right above this level here. So, by the way, do I think the bottom is in on all coins? No. All coins are going to go lower. But do I think there's a swing trade bounce in this vicinity? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there is. Again, the way I trade, I start small, so I can add if it goes lower until we get that bounce. And again, that has worked very, very well. I think 96% success rate in Verified Investing Crypto at verifiedinvesting.com.
But what happened to Bitcoin? And why did it drop so suddenly?
Well, so the first thing is, we came from a period where there was the least volatility in history. And one thing I remember you and I both saying is that when that happens, it's usually the precursor to a big move in Bitcoin, whether it was up or down. I happen to believe it was down. I believe you were as well in that camp, just because, again, you've been in this period where we're up against major resistance and we're likely coming down. So the question is, what was the trigger of it? Was it the stock market? Was it we kind of heard that SpaceX might have been unloading Bitcoin and that kind of panicked. But one of the things I will say from a pure technical point is that when you break the support here at 28, and this is a level that I've had on the charts for a long, long time, in such a light volume environment, it creates kind of like a vacuum in that there's no bidders below, right? You can trigger a lot of stops and it creates this big move down because there's just not enough buyers there. And that's really, in my opinion, why you see these big moves, especially when you don't have a lot of volume or liquidity in the coin. Now, the crazy thing about it is now that we've broke that trend line, the question is, Do we hit 25, which was the BlackRock news low before we popped up on the spot ETF news? And then if that breaks, do we go to 20 and then eventually back to the lows? And I'd be curious to hear your take on this, because we saw altcoins, by the way, get hammered as well.
According to Ben, this has actually been happening every pre-halving year, so it's somehow planned and expected from those who have been trading this asset for so long. This, their explanation why it's happening and what we can expect it next.
Bitcoin, one interesting thing about Bitcoin is that it's actually done this exact same thing every pre-halving year. And I think we even talked about that. I think we've been talking about that over the last few weeks. And I mean, it's not to say that the cycles have to repeat exactly. I mean, the price movements will be somewhat different, but there is at least some seasonality, right, to the Q3 timeframe of the pre-election year, Q3 timeframe of the pre-halving year, where Bitcoin likes to drop below this key, these key moving averages, and it normally sort of sets up that secondary scare going into, before you really get into the real bull run that could maybe take you to new all-time highs. And I'm still at the camp that Bitcoin's not going to see new highs until we actually get back to some form of quantitative easing.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be facing some macro headwinds until then. But what's interesting, as you pointed out, this low here, right, on Bitcoin, and how we haven't taken that out just yet. But with Ethereum, we have actually. We already took out that low. And with the altcoin market, we took out, we've been, with the altcoin market hasn't really been doing that great for a long time. But I mean, you can see that low that was, whatever was there, was easily taken out as well. And it's been coming closer to some of the actual, major lows that we saw in June and in January of 2023. So my general expectation with this move is that it is a risk-off move. It's a clear risk-off environment, coupled with the fact that the S&P is down about 4 to 5% this month. But additionally to all that, you have the long end of the yield curve breaking out again, right? I mean, that's the big story, because we had the 10-year. We talked about this back test. I believe you mentioned it. We were talking about this back test here on the 10-year yield, and how, if it holds and we just skyrocket back up to these highs, what's going to happen, right? You see the bond market fall back down, right? And we've seen TLT do exactly that, and it's back down to these lows, just as the long end of the yield curve is back up to these highs. The dominance of Bitcoin has come back down a little bit, but as long as we're holding above these prior range highs on the weekly closes, then I still think it's nothing more than a back test of the prior breakout point.
Yeah, and just to add something to that Bitcoin dominance, is the reason why you see a little bit of a dip in Bitcoin dominance is because people got very accustomed to there being no volatility in Bitcoin, which meant that they over leveraged, right? So you had over leveraging, because in Bitcoin you couldn't make much money because there weren't big enough moves. And so it coaxes people to kind of this false sense of security where they over leverage. And then when you finally get that move, all of that leverage has to come off, which means the fall is bigger. And I think that's kind of explains it. And I know also, at least on TradingView, they kind of did a few little odds and ends and changes, as well. But we digress.
If you missed Ben's previous explanation on what's happening to Bitcoin in August and September this year, you must watch this video so you don't get caught in a massive selling frenzy that's starting now.